What's happening, everybody? This is Adi back again with another deep dive, the second deep dive of the winter transfer window in the 2022-23 season for Olympiacos. Excited to be with you, excited to talk about Ramon Ramos Lima, a young left back that we just recently picked up from Flamengo. Excited to talk about him, give you guys some insight onto what he could bring to Olympiacos for the remainder of the season. Before we continue with the deep dive, as always, don't forget, if you haven't done so already, everyone, like and subscribe. If you are watching this video, hit that like button, leave a comment, let us know how we're doing. Let us know what you want to see, not just on future episodes, but on future deep dives. I take all of your feedback. You're going to see that in the deep dive today, it's some things that you guys requested for the deep dive that I'm going to incorporate as well. Anything you guys have, any comments, any adjustments that you want us to make, we are always happy to do those. So like, subscribe, leave a comment, let us know how we're doing, and help us steer this show, this program, this community in the right direction. And as always, for you betting guys out there, if you haven't done so already, betus.com is giving us some very, very aggressive promos. Use Gate7INTL for a 125% deposit match when you set up your account and you make your first deposit. Their odds are great, very competitive, better than a lot of their competitors in Europe. Guys like Bet365, we've looked at the odds and they've been quite good. So we're going to be doing some more betting as the Champions League knockout start. So join with us then, and maybe you guys can make some money with us. So here we go, everyone. You know what we're doing today. We are here to talk about this young gentleman right here, Ramon Ramos Lima, 21-year-old Brazilian left back coming out of Flamengo, a player that kind of came out of nowhere. It was a name that no one really heard until he until Kotsis told us that he was here and that he was flying in. At the time of recording, he is in Greece. The paperwork's getting signed, and he should be getting revealed to everybody very, very shortly. So again, here you go, Ramon Ramos Lima, very exciting prospect. It is a project signing, and we'll get to why that is shortly. As a player, in terms of his profile, he is an offensive wingback, physicality wise, very lean. Uh, Tall, relatively tall, I should say, very lean, a physical defender too. So despite being lean, he's not afraid to get into a tussle with very high overlapping volume and another wing back that sits very high up the pitch. We talked about in the deep dive with Rodinei when he came in. I talked about how high he used to sit up on the pitch. And Ramon Ramos is doing very similar things. He is sitting very high up the pitch, just like Rodinei did. Unsurprising considering how offensive things can be in Brazil. This player is following suit in that respect. Other things about his profile, dribbling ability is very awkward. I'll elaborate on that as we get into the goal threat and then the passing and build up section of this deep dive. Definitely a willingness to get forward. Even though he's not super successful on the dribble, the confidence is there to get forward. Agile and can change pace relatively quickly. It looks a little awkward, and there's many times where it feels like he's going to fall instead of actually change direction. You'll see what I'm talking about when you watch him play. It's very interesting, but it can work for him at times. Uh, Upside downfield isn't the highest. Occasional through balls here and there, vision wise. We're going to get into all of that as we discuss the various areas of goal creation, passing, and build up. But at pass accuracy is also pretty decent. But again, like I said, these are all things that we are going to get into as we discuss the player when we discuss his goal threat and passing ability. So let's just get on with it. Let's get into some of the details here. So uh, when it comes to goal creation, his actual direct goal threat is very minimal. You can look at it in the stats. It's not surprising. Not many fullbacks have that immediate goal threat. But when it came to shot opportunities, he did get at least more than what we tend to see our fullbacks get. You can again, that's something that you can see very clearly in the data. He's got almost double the volume of guys like Oleg and Jose Holebas. Um, Not more than double than Kostas Tsimikas in his prime with us. But again, just to make the point here, this guy's got a pretty high volume when it comes to shot opportunities. Not that he's scoring a lot of goals, but some shot opportunities are there. When it comes to offensive situations where he is getting in the air, getting in battles in the air, not too many of those. Um, and the ones that he did have, it's not like he ever wins them. So don't look at him as somebody that's going to win stuff on free kicks or corner kicks. Just don't expect that. Doesn't seem to be something that's really in his toolkit. The shots that I mentioned earlier that he takes, not many of them really hit the target. Good to see that he's taking the chances when they fall to him, but he doesn't seem to be somebody that's going to be overly dangerous in those situations. Regarding his assists, in the past year, he didn't register any assists. Any shot assists or balls that were played into the penalty area, they're primarily crosses. He makes a lot of runs down to the byline. He's crossing the ball in, whether it's closer to the end line or further ahead of where the 18-yard box is or the penalty area is. That's primarily what he's doing to get into the penalty area. His crossing volume, again, as you can see in the data, it's pretty good. You're looking at 3.5 per 90, which is much higher than guys like Oleg or even Holebas. Um, Tsimikas's volume was a much higher than that, but this is something it's still better than what we're currently used to. And again, it just shows that this player gets forward, he gets balls into the box, which is something that we need. A lot of crossing volume in the box was something we were used to early on under Martin's reign, and then it wasn't something that we saw prior to him getting fired. Things are picking up in that respect, and now we need wingbacks that are going to bring back some of that crossing volume. So something good for us to see, something that we haven't seen a lot of, especially in the left back position. Um, as I mentioned, he stays very elevated up the pitch. So just like Rodinei, he's going to sit way up high, not usually in line with the back four. Something that frustrates us about Oleg. Oleg tends to stay in line with the back four and not get forward as much, at least when compared to when he first got here. This player is going to get up. He's going to get forward, and he's going to stay very high up and present passes, present lanes, so that we can get forward. So you're gonna love that. Plenty of runs to the byline. He does and seem to enjoy and not shy away from drawing defenders to him, especially when he's in closer to the penalty area. His confidence in taking them on is good, especially for a young player. They tend to be a little bit more timid. So you do like to see that. He's not super good. He's not really good at it. He doesn't beat a lot of players, but he's still young. And his dribbling ability isn't awful. So this is something we hope that we can develop with him as he grows with the club. I am very curious to see how his dribbling ability does translate in Greece. Maybe he has a little bit more success on the dribble there. But all in all, not nothing crazy, nothing super impressive for me to report, at least regarding goal creation. Up next, as always, we have our build up and possession statistics. And again, I'm comparing them to. I forgot to mention this when we were talking about goal creation. I compared all of his stats. This was something that you guys had asked me to do. I compared, instead of just comparing him to one player like I'd been doing for previous deep dives, I am comparing him to a couple of players. A lot of you DM'd me after the Rodinei deep dive saying, "Hey, when you do your next one, can we compare it to multiple people?" You guys said compare him to Oleg, compare him to Holebas, compare him to Tsimikas from 2019, 2020, so we can maybe see how things kind of fall in line. So we're giving that a shot here. I know it makes the graph seem a little bit condensed, but we'll find that happy median. If you guys like this, I'll continue to do it. If you want me to tone it down, maybe compare it to just one or two other guys, I can do that as well. But moving on with the data here, again, I'm going to reiterate that I find his dribbling ability to be pretty awkward. His ball control isn't really tight, at least not as tight as some of the players we've been seeing coming into the club. He does have flair. not like step over wise. He can do some tricky things with the ball. Like a couple of times, defenders I would see get close to him. He would just lift the ball over their feet. Something that I saw Rodinei do a couple of times as well. Um, or and maybe he would do, and maybe it's because of his awkward stepping and the way he kind of awkwardly carries the ball here and there. He would catch some defenders kind of like off foot or flat footed, and he could just dribble past them there. So it's very difficult for me to explain why his dribbling ability is awkward. When I say that somebody has awkward dribbling ability, it means that when I see him dribbling, I don't feel like sometimes what he's doing is necessarily intentional. Like with the ball, he dribbles the ball, maybe somebody gets a foot on it, but it bounces correctly for him, or maybe he hits a ball a little bit too hard, but it works out that way for him, or he kind of gets a ball caught between them, but the way it does, it gets past the defender. Things like that. That's what I talk about awkward dribbling ability. It almost seems like it's not intentional when he's getting by people. But again, he has done some things. He has gotten by people enough to where I say there's something there, something that can be molded into a little bit more of a polished product. Looking at his dribble success, because a lot of you always ask, okay, you say his dribbling ability looks good, but what is the success rate? It's only 34%. That's why I say he's not really good at beating players right now. There's some pieces there that we like. There's some characteristics about his profile that we like, but those need to be built upon for us to get a much better polished product. Again, I'm going to reiterate what I said in the beginning. This is more of a project signing, so I'm not going to be too alarmed with some of the bad things I see here. He is physical. I brought that up earlier. He shields the ball pretty well if he's just trying to hold it to dish the ball out or trying to find a way to get out of trouble. Very physical despite his very lean nature. I mean, the guy only weighs about 143 pounds. Kilos for you kilogram guys, that's 65 kilos. So his stature 5'10, 179 centimeters, 143 pounds, or as I just said, it was 65 kilos. It's not big. He's not a lot of meat on those bones. So, but still very interesting to see if you get a guy, get him to bulk up a little bit, he'll be a pretty physical monster. Um, Regarding buildup, I never really saw him as a key figure. We talked about with Rodinei how he could get pretty high touch volume, and we talked about comparisons. Some people maybe thought there were allusions to with Rafinha. Rafinha, if you guys remember, was very key in buildup. He would be involved in distribution and play buildup a lot. I didn't see that so much with Ramos. And again, he's 21 years old, so that doesn't necessarily surprise me. It's nothing I'm going to panic about because overall, when we look at his touch volume per 90 minutes, it's very close to what Kostas Tsimikas had. It's at least higher than the volume Oleg has. So I'm going to pump the brakes on the worry on that for now. Again, he's 21 years old. Great overlapping volume. Loves to run, loves to get forward, presents himself as an outlet, not just in the final third, but in the middle third as well. He will he will dribble the ball out. He actually does carry the ball out. I'm not going to say a lot, but more than Oleg at the very least. Not sure what that says, but carries the ball out at least more than he does. Not as much as Kostas Tsimikas used to. I mean, I remember so many games where Tsimikas would be bringing the ball forward, helping us, spurring a counter. That volume wasn't there. Again, I know the context is a little bit different, but he can do it. He has space, he will take space. Did he get space very often in that respect? No, maybe not as much as we would like, but it's within his toolkit, it's within his skill set. Part of the reason I didn't see him carrying the ball forward as much as I would like is because he's so high up the pitch. He's the one receiving the ball. I also made this point about Rodinei in that deep dive as well. I don't know if it's maybe something that's similar among fullbacks that are coming out of Brazil. Maybe it is because maybe that's the flavor of the month with what people want from their fullbacks. They're very overlapping, very offensive. But that's what we need. That's what this club needs. Somebody that's more offensive, willing to overlap, willing to get forward. So that explains why he maybe doesn't have the same type of volume versus a guy like Tsimikas who used to sit deeper back, overlap, and get forward. He would have more opportunities to receive the ball and then get forward as a result. Again, we'll see how this translates if he sees some time in Greece. I mean, all in all, you look at these touch volumes, you look at the number of progressive passes, the number of progressive carries. I mean, at the very least, it's an improvement in terms of volume over Oleg. Touches in the penalty area, dribbles completed. And by the way, you may see that the number of dribbles completed here, it's still low compared to a guy like Tsimikas, and it's higher than Oleg, but similar. But this isn't for a lack of attempts. The guy takes players on constantly. He's just not getting past them. And in this metric here, the dribbles completed, it's just the successful ones per 90 minutes. If I go into attempted dribbles per 90 minutes, you're going to see much higher volume compared to Oleg. So I just want to make sure that that's clear. I know I said this before already, but he does take players on. He has the confidence to dribble past players. He's just not super successful at it. Now, moving on to his defensive characteristics, I actually was a little bit pleasantly surprised in many respects, mainly because with players that were coming out of Brazil, and it was the same with Rodinei, I expected a much more offensive machine and somebody that maybe would expose us defensively. With Rodinei, I got a very pleasant surprise. I was worried that because he sits so far forward, we would bite it on the counter. He could get caught forward, and so far that's been pretty good. I see some very, very similar inclinations with Ramon. And when we look at his defensive statistics, you see the volume is very good defensively. Now, this could be a function of maybe Flamengo having to defend more. So that's what a lot of people say. But this data is possession adjusted. So it takes into account times he does and doesn't have the ball on other players. So that, with that respect, his volumes are pretty good. Regarding how he is in the air, I brought up that offensively he's not going to do anything for us in the air. That goes the same defensively. He's not good at all in the air, at least not from what I've seen. He gets most of his aerial battles in the middle of the field. He's not seeing too many in our defensive third, but again, doesn't really matter. Most of the aerial battles I saw him get in, whether he's trying to head the ball or just get the ball while it was in the air, he lost most of them. Experience will help with this, better positioning, learning when to jump, how to jump, things like that. So maybe that improves, but it's just not a skill that he really possesses at the moment. Closing down defenders on the ground when the ball's on the ground, the defender has it. He's actually pretty good. And he closes players down very well. He's very, I brought up earlier with, when he has the ball at his feet, he's very, very, very physical. And that goes the same when he doesn't have the ball. He is very physical. His win rate in these duels is, it's above 50%. So it's respectable. And the passion that he has when he just trying to win the ball, that physical presence he has, this is something that I think fans will like. I brought up the Rodinei's passion when he's trying to win the ball, get back. Players, or fans, I should say, love to see passion. Players like to see it too. You like to see your teammates running and gunning for the ball. So he's at least going to have that with him. He's also very physical. One of the problems, though, that I saw was more how he reads the game defensively. It was very tough for me to tell if he was reading passes and actually intercepting or playing because he knew where the game was going. And the reason it was confusing is he did happen to find himself in the right place at the right time a lot, which it's not a coincidence. You don't just get lucky that often. So that tells me that there's something, he's doing something right there. But the reason I say that it was difficult for me to tell is because I saw so many times where he just gets it wrong. I mean, not even close. So it just makes me wonder, because he was in the right place at the right time. Is that a stroke of, are these strokes of genius, or is he just getting lucky more often than not? I'm more inclined to believe that there is something there, maybe a raw talent, a raw understanding, almost instinctual. Perhaps that could explain the inconsistency, and maybe he needs somebody to teach him more, somebody more methodical to give him some structure to teach him how to be in the right places more often. We'll see. Right now, I'm not convinced that he has the defensive ability to read the game. And that could be something that compromises us, but we'll see. We have to see how that develops. As I mentioned before, and something that worried me with Rodinei, and pleasantly, I've been very surprised at how often it hasn't compromised us. We haven't played, of course, the best competition yet in Greece. We did play against Aris, but there's tougher teams that we'll play against, so we'll see how Rodinei does against those. But one thing that does worry me is how very far forward Ramon gets, and whether that will compromise us when he's played. Who knows? We'll see. Maybe he's like Rodinei. Maybe he's able to get back. I mean, he is a quick guy. He's fast, and he can recover quickly. So I saw it happen enough in Brazil where he would recover quickly. So it didn't expose him as much. So we'll see. And that's something that, of course, will improve with experience. And we can hope that it doesn't expose us and that he'll be like Rodinei. He'll know the balance, when to get forward, when to get back, and things like that. Looking back at his defensive stats, as I mentioned, his volume is great. I mean, I told you guys he's very physical, gets into a lot of situations where he's making tackles, where he's getting interceptions, clearing the ball, blocking shots, all up there. Defensively, he has, I think, some very great attributes that we like, things that seems that make him seem more balanced at the very least. Because we have on the team, you have a player like Oleg who is, again, by the numbers here, defensively he's not bad. Is he the best? No, but he's not so good offensively. So we need a player that, for this team, for this Olympiacos team, especially in Greece, we need a player that's going to be, at the very least, something offensively. You know what I mean? So I don't. It I like that I don't like doing this thing where we kind of be very negative on Oleg. We all know who Oleg is. We all know what he does, and we all know that he leaves it on the field. What I'm what I'm trying to say is I think that this player has the potential to offer us a much more complete package than a player like Oleg does or has in the last season. So defensively, he's got some great characteristics. Offensively, he also has some great characteristics. It's just, the thing is is this the player that's really going to be what we need in the left back position? And the guy, he is 21 years old. He's going to be turning 22 in March. So the questions that everybody had for me, and it's at this point we'll segue into Adi's verdict. What's my verdict on the player? When the player was picked up, or when Kotsis first had told us that we were picking this player up kind of out of the blue, there were a lot of questions. Is this the solution for left back? He's 21 years old. No one really knows about him. Even Brazil doesn't know about him. What's going on here? Is this our solution for left back? And the answer is no. This is a project signing. I brought it up at the beginning of the deep dive. This is a project signing. Don't look for this guy to come in and blow things up. And I'm going to be honest with you. If we had to pick one of our young left backs, assuming they weren't already on loan, between Kitos, Doran Leidner, and this guy to be the guy that's supposed to be ready to go and back up Oleg for the rest of the season, I wouldn't be picking Ramon. I'd be picking Doran Leidner. That's my opinion. But this guy is a project signing. We have 3 young guys that we will be able to pick from coming from the summer to move forward with. We only need really one to hit. If we can hit on 2 of them, that's fantastic. But this player is a project signing. Do I think he's going to be a success? I don't know. Do I like the player? I'm not super thrilled with what I've seen, but I like a lot of the characteristics he has. There are some characteristics I think will translate well in Greece with time. I don't think this is a player that's going to have instant impact. It's not like a Rodinei. It's not like a Rodinei that you can see doing something for us immediately. No, no, no. And I don't think he would be included. It doesn't look like we're going to be moving Oleg on at anytime soon. And with things going on with Marcelo the way they are, I think this player could be a backup. Maybe we'll see him in cup games. Maybe we'll see him for some less important games to give Oleg a rest. Again, this is also assuming that Marcelo isn't going to be here. Who knows? But I think as far as project signings go, we've done worse. We've had worse signing. I think this is a pretty good pickup for the future. He's got some core characteristics that I believe will translate well at the very least in Greece. As it stands in Europe, I wouldn't be very comfortable playing this player in European games. It's not an issue for the rest of this season. But all in all, I do like this signing on a whole. I think this signing does have some potential. It is a low risk signing. It's a very good signing at the very least, a nice potential as a project signing. If this turns out that this signing is more than a project signing, I'm a little worried about that. Because then it looks like we didn't get the main left backs we wanted, and this is a panic buy. But I don't think that's the case. I think this is a project signing, and as far as project signings go, you look for when we get some of these kids and these younger guys, you look for the core characteristics to see, okay, are there things here? What he's good at, can this be translated? And the things that he's bad at, can we improve them to the point where that it's not going to hurt us, or improve it to the point where it can become something semi-serviceable in the first division? And that's what you look at. And I think he has enough of those characteristics that I like, that he's good at, that are translatable in at least into the Greek Super League, for him to be a functional player for us, maybe if not the rest of this season, into the next season. So there you go, guys. There you have it. That is my deep dive for Ramon Ramos Lima, the young player that is going to be announced. Again, at the time of recording, he hasn't been announced yet, but that is going to be announced by Olympiacos, or hopefully has been announced by Olympiacos by the time you guys hear this. And second one of the winter window, we seem to have struck gold with Rodinei at least. Maybe we strike gold again with another player coming out of Brazil. Who knows? What I do know is that we're all going to be very excited. We're all going to watch him play. We're going to support him as we do all of our players that have the red and white kit. And we're going to hope for the best. Got a lot of stuff coming up. It's a very exciting season going on. And who knows, maybe another signing or two, another deep dive or two may come before the end of the window here. Thank you guys for listening, especially the ones that made it this far. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Help us grow the red and white community. Help become a part of the growth and the change that this channel is going through. Again, all feedback is welcome. Let us know what you want to see in the show, whether it's the deep dives, whether it's the live shows, the interviews. Let us know what will make this show better for you. So until next time, guys, this is Adi, Gate 7 International, by the fans, for the fans, and we'll see you next time.